morning, everybody. Let me answer a couple questions before we get started. I woke up this morning, had a whole bunch of comments. I really appreciate that. First of all, this is great stuff. I only have 2 left. I guess it's just a seasonal thing or whatever, so I'm rationing them. So I'm not drinking this morning already. A couple other questions that no one's asked me, but I'm going to tell you. Yes, I do have an inexhaustible supply of dark sweatshirts. I have 2 Toyota sweatshirts. One's black, one's blue. Can't tell them apart, and I've got this one. This time of year, I tend to be pretty informal and just wear sweatshirts all the time. Another thing is my wife does like these videos because it makes me shave more often. I don't want you to think I'm the priest from Caddyshack after he got struck by lightning up here and look all disheveled, so I try to maintain some aura of presentability anyhow. So I want to talk about some of the challenges I have coming up in the next few weeks, and then I'm going to get to putting the layout up. First of all, hopefully you can see this. I have this long level here. So luckily for me, it was long enough to extend from Chillicothe to the wall. This arrow is the track height. There's the top of the foam on that Chillicothe layout. That almost guarantees I'm going to have to move this file cabinet. It will fit, but man, it's going to be really tight, and if I connect the 2, you won't have any way to get into that top drawer. So I think I've got a pretty good argument for moving that file cabinet. So let me go back behind the camera now. And I'll just stay out here, talk about it. Let me swivel the camera though. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so hopefully you can read these. So I'm making a list of stuff that I need to think about over coming weeks. Okay, so layout height, obviously, just talked about that. Fascia height. Now this is essentially going to look like one layout when I'm done. When I built Chillicothe, I made this 3 inches. I talked about it when I built Oak Hill, I made it 4 inches. So I'm going to have to make a match to look right. I'm going to redo this one. Because I'd rather have an inch down further, help hide my crappy wiring anyhow. So I'll probably have to redo this one. 2 operators. It should be easy with DCC, but what if I want to have 2 throttles? So I have 2 NCE systems. The other one I hooked up down there. I don't think I need 2 NCE systems, but how do I add 2 throttles? I would do some research on that, but I imagine it's going to be pretty easy. But what if I have one guy switching Chillicothe and another guy switching Oak Hill? You know, that would be the ideal once this COVID thing is over, that if I can have friends over and maybe have 3 or 4 people in here, have brakemen too. So I need to figure out that. Where do I just need another one of these? How do I do that? How do I have 2 throttles? That's just something I've never had to worry about before. The backdrop continuity. So this backdrop is, I guess, Walthers or something. Remember, this is going to look like one layout now. So how am I going to make that look seamless when it comes to the backdrop? I need to replace this one and just get a photo backdrop for the whole thing. If I do that, it won't be too hard. I mean, this comes off super easy, and then all I have to do is lift that one out from behind the buildings and put the new one in. But that's something I have to think about. Didn't have to worry about it when they're 2 separate layouts. The lighting connection. If I make this part of the layout, it needs fascia. It needs lighting. It needs to look seamless. So it's something I'm gonna have to think about after I get Oak Hill up. Okay. The throttle connection I just talked about. The reach to the corner. Let me swivel the camera around a little bit because I don't think you can see that. That's what I'm talking about back in here. If I make this part of the layout and I put a grain elevator in there, I need to have a fascia, I need to have lighting, I need to do all that stuff. So, big job so, that I hadn't counted on doing. Also, reach back to the corner. Don't want to make that corner coved. So something I have to think about. I don't want anything where I have to reach a long way. I never want an industry where I have to reach like this to, do it. I always want to keep it easily reachable. And then talking about the staging down here, so I made the comment to keep it as large as possible. I definitely agree with that, but I'm definitely limited. Go onto that shelf and go to the end of the shelf, and that's it. Even if I talk my wife into letting me make a tunnel or a hole at the end of the shelf here, I'm not going to go in front of the window. I've got the curtains there, so I will try to make it as big as possible. And then someone asked me about the grain elevator. Which grain elevator am I going to model? I don't know. I'm going to wait and see which one fits better. There are pros and cons to each one. The modern grain elevator, the one that actually in real life sits right here, is actually easier to model even though it's bigger. Because the other one is sort of like a bunch of buildings sort of glommed together over time. It was actually there when Chillicothe had a canal. It fronted the canal. So they loaded canal boats out of it. The railroad ran behind it, the canal ran in front of it. So it's a really old place. They tore it down in 1988, I think, something like that. City of Chillicothe considered it an eyesore. I loved it myself. It's around the edge of downtown. But it was an eyesore according to all the people that wanted a pretty downtown. So it was torn down. Luckily, there are quite a few pictures of it, but it would be a real challenge to model because it's a lot of different buildings all sort of glommed together over 100 years before they tore it down. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to start mounting Oak Hill, and I'll show you what that looks like, hopefully today. Everybody take it easy. Here's an aerial view of the elevator that's there now. And this is a street view from Watt Street. And here's one looking back toward it. The storage tracks on the left were added after they abandoned the boneyard. So next we're going to see called Standard Elevator, which is on Water Street in Chillicothe. This is the one that's been torn down in 1988. And we're looking at the canal side. That used to be the canal right there. The railroad came in from the back. The rumor is that little building on the left, the office building, was actually an old railroad depot. But I can't confirm that. If you look at the back side of this, it's a really complex building.